Dubai presents itself as a mirage of opulence in the middle of the desert, a mirage of luxury and prosperity built on the instability of the sand. Although at first glance it seems to be modern development, there is a hidden side full of controversies and human rights abuses that stain its bright facade. At the same time, social media is flooded with glamorous images of life in Dubai. Influencers and Instagram models fill their profiles with photos of them enjoying nightlife in luxurious sports cars and rooftop parties, all in a city that promises zero personal income tax and apparent impeccable security and cleanliness. This contrast marks Dubai as a place of extremes, where excessive luxury and futuristic architecture mix with a darker underlying reality. The city is a playground for the rich and famous, designed to impress and attract tourists and entrepreneurs, while there are serious questions about the working conditions of those who build its towering skyscrapers and artificial islands. It is intriguing how both sides of Dubai reflect some truth in their contrasts. On one hand, the sea-view apartments and lack of income tax attract a vibrant expat community, making the city an ideal place for business ventures and Instagram profiles. Walking through downtown Dubai is to immerse yourself in a world of luxury, sports car dealerships and shopping malls that shine under the desert sun. Dubai is undoubtedly a magnet for wealth, a fact that suggests the existence of real opportunities, although sometimes it seems more like a carefully curated part of its global appeal. Annually, the city attracts legions of young people and Instagram models from around the world, all in search of success and fortune. However, for many, the dream quickly fades in the face of harsh reality. Some of the stories that manage to leak are so controversial that they can't even be mentioned on platforms like YouTube. There are numerous stories of young models being seduced by tempting offers from the upper echelons of power. These proposals include free flights and accommodation in luxury hotels, along with five-figure payments in exchange for compromising their personal integrity. Reports have surfaced about clandestine events in remote mansions, where up to $100,000 has been offered to satisfy the whims of the hosts. In a country where public displays of affection can lead to severe legal consequences, these rumors are particularly alarming and reveal a surprising contrast with the rigidity of official social norms. Hiding these kinds of stories is essential to preserving Dubai's image. If not properly managed, they could deter both young talent and investments, just as the grand skyscrapers and extravagant artificial islands have been deliberately designed to position Dubai as a global tourist mecca. And so far, the strategy seems effective. Dubai has become the fashionable destination for many travelers, and frequently ranks among the most visited cities in the world. This raises the question: why have the United Arab Emirates invested astronomical amounts to transform what was a modest desert locality into an opulent oasis? The answer lies in their vision of becoming a central hub of global attraction, a strategy that continues to draw visitors from all over the world. Clearly, the UAE and other Middle Eastern nations have heavily relied on oil revenues, which have positioned them among the wealthiest on the planet. However, the eventuality that the oil wells will run dry, or that the world will reduce its dependence on fossil fuels, poses a critical challenge. In response, the UAE is transforming Dubai into an oasis of modernity and luxury, preparing for a more economically diversified future. This strategy is a race against time to diversify and solidify alternative sources of income before oil ceases to be black gold. Historically, we have seen how cities that lacked notable natural resources quickly transformed into centers of global wealth. The Emirates are following a similar path, attempting to turn Dubai into an epicenter of commerce, tourism, and finance that can sustain the national economy in the post-oil future. When the Mongol Empire rose, it plundered vast regions of the known world and emerged as one of the wealthiest on earth. Karakoram, its capital, was the center of an immense accumulation of riches, gold, gems, as well as the most prominent thinkers, artists, and artisans of the time were brought there. A majestic palace was erected to showcase such opulence, and what began as a simple camp transformed into a flourishing metropolis. However, this prosperity was fleeting. With the fall of the empire, Karakoram was reduced to ashes, and both the riches and its inhabitants dissipated. A similar fate befell Samarkand under the Timurid Empire. What was once a vibrant epicenter of power and culture now lies in ruins, a testament to a fleeting splendor that vanished within a few generations. Dubai, in its current efforts of splendor and construction, risks following a similar path, building on a foundation that could be as transient as those ancient cities. There are no buildings or innovations in Dubai that seem destined to endure indefinitely. Its towering constructions, made of steel, concrete, and glass, may not withstand the test of time without adequate maintenance. In a few decades, they could be engulfed by the relentless advance of the desert. A glimpse into the city's history offers a clear perspective on these changes. Before modern skyscrapers defined its skyline, Dubai was simply a charming fishing village, recognized for its pearl industry. During the 19th century, it was under British protectorate until 1971. British influence was decisive in shaping the region's political and economic systems. Like other territories such as Singapore and Hong Kong, the British laid the foundations for Dubai's international projection and the initial development of its infrastructure. Just as the British were withdrawing, oil was discovered in Dubai, a discovery that would radically transform the destiny of the United Arab Emirates. The wealth derived from this resource was strategically used for extensive infrastructure modernization, including the construction of new schools, hospitals, roads, and a modern port, all of which redefined Dubai's structure and future. The kingdom was aware of the need to diversify its income beyond oil to ensure the continuity of its economic prosperity, marking the beginning of Dubai's transformation into the vibrant urban center it is today. The government continued to invest massively to develop Dubai as a hub of financial, commercial, tourist, and real estate activity, thus transforming this piece of desert into one of the world's most iconic metropolises. This diversification strategy, combined with smart economic policies, has attracted investments and talents from around the world, elevating Dubai's international profile. Additionally, the lack of taxes makes Dubai an attractive haven for the wealthy. With the constant flow of capital, Dubai's leaders have bet increasingly high, striving to stand out by constructing ostentatious structures that lack deep cultural significance or historical heritage, like the Burj Khalifa and the artificial islands, all designed to capture global attention. All of this was part of a meticulously orchestrated plan to position Dubai as a key player on the global stage. The impressive infrastructure projects were not only aimed at attracting attention for their beauty, but also reflected Dubai's ambition to evolve from its modest roots into a future filled with boundless opportunities. However, to sustain this accelerated growth, Dubai could not do it alone. Originally, the region was sparsely populated, and foreign investors were not going to take on the physical construction. It soon became evident that Dubai needed a large amount of labor, and urgently. To fuel its rapid development, Dubai sought to attract a vast contingent of immigrant labor. This is where Dubai's structure began to show signs of fragility. Approximately 90% of the United Arab Emirates population is made up of immigrants, many of whom come from India, Africa, and other developing countries. Unlike historic cities that grew through military conquests, Dubai did not expand by force of arms. Rather, it was economic pressure and necessity that drew these workers. Their stories and experiences form the true dark side of Dubai. Investigations into construction projects, including stadiums in places like Qatar, have revealed that employers frequently house migrant workers in private camps located far from urban areas, where they are forced to live in overcrowded and unhygienic conditions. In their work environments, they face significant risks, as they are commonly assigned the most dangerous tasks on the sites. The promise of better economic opportunities is what attracts millions of migrant workers to Dubai, similar to what happens in other developing metropolises. From countries like Nepal, India, Bangladesh, and the Philippines, people hear stories of how they can improve their families' lives by working abroad. Recruitment agencies offer competitive salaries, adequate housing, and the possibility of a more secure future for their loved ones. However, with the arrival of crises like the pandemic, these systems were profoundly destabilized. Despite the UAE's promises that companies would provide food and accommodation, many workers found these promises unfulfilled, leaving them in even more precarious situations. Many of the common labor practices in the UAE are actually prohibited by local law, but enforcement of these regulations is scarce. Workers, worried about keeping their modest incomes, often avoid reporting irregularities for fear of reprisals. Those who are in debt and consider quitting their jobs face the risk of never seeing their families again. many remain in vulnerable conditions, with wages delayed or never arriving, putting their well-being and that of their loved ones at even greater risk. Under the kafala system, the government and the UAE tend to hide these problems, leaving migrant workers at a significant disadvantage. These workers, who are essential to Dubai's infrastructure and growth, should have their rights guaranteed by the companies that employ them. However, as they are not citizens, they often lack protection under local labor laws, do not enjoy a guaranteed minimum wage, and are entirely dependent on the will of their employers. These individuals, often invisible and marginalized, have built the towering structures and infrastructure that define Dubai today. They work under extremely difficult conditions, enduring the high desert temperatures without adequate recognition. Unfortunately, as with many aspects of Dubai, the real situation of these workers starkly contrasts with the polished and luxurious image the city projects to the world. In many cases, the reality behind the splendor is a testament to the hardships and lack of protection faced by those with the least resources. The Burj Khalifa stands out as Dubai's most famous emblem and the tallest skyscraper in the world. Although it represents one of the city's most significant achievements, its construction was not without controversy, including severe criticism for labor conditions, with reports of workers receiving wages of less than €3 a day. Once completed, the sewage system meant to serve the gigantic building proved insufficient, requiring dozens of trucks to handle the excess wastewater, an image that sharply contrasts with the architectural grandeur of the Burj Khalifa. Despite these challenges, the Burj Khalifa is still seen as one of the least problematic among a series of questionable architectural projects in Dubai, with artificial islands like Al Noor Island, Palm Jumeirah, and the Palm Islands being examples of projects with even greater complications. This situation contrasts markedly with cities like Singapore, which, sharing a similar origin to Dubai as a small trading center, has followed a very different path of sustainable and culturally integrative development compared to the UAE. Both metropolises started from modest roots, evolving from simple fishing communities into imposing urban centers. However, the development trajectories of Singapore and Dubai have diverged significantly over time. Beyond religious or cultural differences, Singapore has gained renown as the Garden City, a title that reflects its commitment to harmony between urban growth and environmental conservation. The city's meticulous planning is evidenced by its efficient public transportation network, the abundance of green spaces, and land management that prioritizes long-term sustainability. In contrast, Dubai has opted for an approach focused on superficial splendor, with gigantic skyscrapers, unusual artificial island projects, and luxurious hotels built regardless of cost or environmental impact. This strategy has minimized the connection of its residents with the natural environment and obscured the ecological consequences of such developments. Thus, not only ecological concerns distinguish these two cities, but also their fundamental approaches to urban planning and development, reflecting very different visions of what a modern city should be. A fundamental distinction between Singapore and Dubai lies in their treatment of migrant workers, who constitute a significant part of the workforce in both cities. However, labor policies in Singapore contrast markedly with those in Dubai. Singapore has implemented policies that promote labor equity, offering competitive wages and ensuring working conditions that enhance both the safety and well-being of employees. Initiatives such as progressive wages and programs like Future Skills highlight Singapore's commitment to optimizing labor processes and improving the quality of life for its workers, emphasizing continuous training and adaptation to new technologies. These policies not only reflect a commitment to social justice, but also contribute to a more dynamic and sustainable working environment, preparing the workforce for future challenges. In contrast to Singapore, Dubai presents a less favorable scenario regarding the treatment of its migrant workers, especially those in the construction sector. The working conditions are harsh, with limited labor rights and often poor living conditions for these workers. There is no minimum wage law in Dubai, and it is common for migrant workers' wages to be unjustly withheld. Meanwhile, Singapore has established well-structured labor policies that aim for migrant workers to complement, rather than replace, the local workforce. Laws in Singapore are designed to be fair, protecting the rights of both workers and employers. On the other hand, the kafala system in Dubai imposes severe restrictions on migrant workers' rights, making them dependent on their employers and vulnerable to abuse. This system significantly limits their mobility and opportunities for advancement. The kafala system, also known as the sponsorship system, is a model of labor exploitation that allows the monitoring of migrant workers. The practice is widespread in Gulf Islamic states such as Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Lebanon, and Oman. In Singapore, social mobility is a tangible reality, and workers can accumulate wealth and improve their social status through work and the acquisition of knowledge. Conversely, in Dubai, the possibility of social advancement for those without financial resources is extremely limited, and economic progress is often reserved for those who already possess capital. In Dubai, wealth is predominantly concentrated among the local elites and international entrepreneurs who come seeking to benefit from a favorable tax regime. Migrant workers, however, have few opportunities for social progress in a system that favors the already privileged. Although both countries have stringent legislation that contributes to high levels of security, the differences in political and freedom domains are notable. Singapore exhibits traits of a democratic system with some measure of freedom of expression, although it operates within strict regulatory frameworks. On the other hand, Dubai's regime is more restrictive, severely limiting public expression and any form of dissent against government policies. Celebrities like Will Smith, among others, have been hired for large sums to promote Dubai as an idyllic destination, hiding the less attractive realities of the city. This situation illustrates a broader problem of the modern world, where a small group of elites builds grand projects at the expense of workers in precarious conditions, many of whom are marginalized once each new mega-project is completed. In the long term, this dynamic is unsustainable. Eventually, it is expected that the artificially maintained image of Dubai could collapse, exposing the fragile foundations on which the empire has been built. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your like and your comment. See you in the next video.